Okay, time for a quick discussion on drone battery care. So I have a big interest in batteries. I've been building small electric vehicles for a long time. This is my little scooter that I converted to lithium. It had about 5 horsepower. Eventually the motor melted and I transferred the batteries into another scooter because lithium batteries can be incredibly long lasting. Later on, I built an electric bike. This was the first lithium-powered bike in South Africa. It had also a good set of lithium batteries inside. These cost me about $500. And then I built what was basically a motorcycle with pedals and put a huge chunk, about $1,000 worth of lithium batteries in that. And I called this one Africa's fastest bicycle because it could do 85 kilometers an hour on a flat road. If you're interested, you can go to YouTube and you can search for Africa's fastest bicycle and you'll see me doing exactly that. And this is my latest project. I'm converting a boat to be a solar electric boat, which means I need lots more batteries, and these are very, very big. As you can see, they're huge, and these cost 60,000 Rand. So I do have a vested interest in making sure batteries last a long time. Now, let's go through some of the main points about drone batteries. So drones typically use lithium-ion batteries, like in your cell phone, your laptop, your power bank. Most electric scooters, bicycles, and cars all use lithium-ion. Some of the drones use lithium polymer batteries, which is the most common battery in model aeroplanes. These batteries are all very, very light for the amount of power they can store, but they're not really the safest. A lot of them, specifically the DJI batteries, have got built-in controller circuits. These are called smart batteries. Usually that's a good thing, and sometimes it's not, and I'll tell you a little bit why it could not be in a later slide. But the main thing to know is that with good battery management, you can actually increase the number of cycles your batteries can run by 200 to 300% quite easily. This is something I do with my cell phone batteries and something I do with my laptop batteries. And being a tech person, we keep track on how everyone else's batteries in the office do as well. And my batteries last much, much longer than everyone else's, so I have got good experience this works. Probably the main point is, aside from doing stupid things like flying into a fire or, I don't know, a volcano, which I've seen a few people do, charging a battery is the most risky time. So let's watch a quick video on what could potentially go wrong.
The purpose of this showreel is to provide some real-life examples of lithium battery fires and illustrate the different ways the fires present in the different devices. First, here are some examples of typical smaller device lithium battery fires which have been featured on YouTube and in the news. Mobile phone fires. A standard mobile phone comes with a built-in safety device which will usually switch it off at about 40 degrees centigrade. But if, for example, the phone was left in the sun on a car dashboard, it will continue to heat up until it catches a light. Mobile phones contain a small lithium battery, typically 60 watt-hours or less. E-cigarettes. These contain a cylindrical cell battery. There is virtually no warning. They almost seem to spontaneously ignite. This can be particularly dangerous when kept in a pocket. Power banks. These devices contain larger size cell batteries, typically 4 times 21/700s, which can charge a phone 3 or 4 times. That amount of stored energy can cause quite a significant fire if the power bank is in a bag or pocket. A lithium battery powering a laptop is usually between 60 and 100 watt-hours and is capable of spraying debris across the office, so is likely to set other areas of the room on fire too. Electric scooter fire. There is more warning with this as smoke is emitted first, but it still erupts into a fire quickly. The lithium battery is in region of 500 to 750 watt-hours. Electric scooters are now banned on TfL network due to fire risk and regular fire incidents which have taken place. E-bikes. These can have up to a kilowatt-hour lithium battery. Just like the e-scooter, the fire starts by emitting smoke first. Using a garden hose to spray the battery with water doesn't make any difference to the fire. It just keeps going.
Right, so it has to be said that not all lithium batteries are equal. If you're curious, the ones I use in my vehicles and my future boat are going to be made out of lithium iron phosphate rather than lithium iron or lithium polymer. Lithium iron phosphate is incredibly safe, but all of the battery types mentioned are far less flammable than petrol, gasoline. So you are still a lot safer using battery powered devices rather than petrol powered devices. But let's move on a little bit. So most of the time we're probably not going to be seeing battery fires. They are quite rare. I've never seen one myself, but we do still want our batteries to last for a lot of cycles. We want to make sure that we can use them repeatedly and for a long time. Drone batteries do cost quite a bit of money, and if they degrade, it means you've got less flying time as well, which means you can do less work. So this is kind of a cheat sheet on things you can actively do to make sure your drone batteries work well and last a long time. The main one, and this is the one I keep trying to tell people when they are doing the training, is don't leave your batteries in the sun. Nothing is going to kill a battery faster than making it too hot. And by leaving a drone battery in the sun, especially in hot environments like we have in Africa quite a lot, your batteries are going to decrease their capacity and cycle life significantly. This is the main point I want everyone to take home from this. The other is to only charge them when you need them. So the longer a battery stays at fully charged, 100% charge level, the worse it actually is for your battery. Now, consumers like to use laptops and cell phones, and they like them to last the longest amount of time. So typically consumer devices, when you leave them plugged in, they stay at 100% charge. This is actually really bad for the batteries. If you look at industrial batteries, they like the batteries to last a long time because they need to make the most amount of products using them, or they need to save the most amount of money. So typically they wouldn't charge a battery fully unless they really, really need to. A good rule of thumb with your phone or your laptop or anything like that is to keep it under 80% charged, and that significantly increases the amount of cycles you can get out of a battery. If you have lots of spare batteries, use them all. If you're going out and you're going to be doing some drone mapping missions and you've got 5 flights to do, but you've got 8 or 9 batteries, change your battery after every flight. Even if it's only used 40% and you've still got 60% left, if you've got spare batteries, make use of them. It's always better not to drain batteries to zero. Like batteries do have damage at 100%, they also have damage at 0%. And it can actually get worse if you drain it below 0. So 0% on a lithium-ion battery is probably around about 3 volts. If you drain it lower than that, you can actually do permanent damage to the battery. All right, if you've got a small area to map, maybe you don't need to charge your battery to 100%. Maybe you charge it to three lights and a flash, and you can go and map out a very small area if you need to. Or if you've got lots of batteries, why not charge them all to 3 lights and go and fly your mission? If it's an emergency, obviously this doesn't count. In emergencies, we need to make sure we've got the maximum capacity of everything we need available, because we don't often have the opportunity to make any mistakes. If you're going on a helicopter into an area, I can understand fully you'd want to charge all your batteries to 100%. But if you're doing something not quite as serious and you've got lots of spare batteries, maybe don't fully charge them. All right, I have to say it again. Don't leave your batteries in the sun. I see people doing this all the time. It's something you want to do with your drone as well. I see people turn on the drone and then start fiddling with their phone and start planning maps and things like that. If your battery is in the drone and in the sun and on, it gets even hotter. So please make sure you don't leave your batteries in the sun. Label your batteries and cycle through them. So for the people we train, we give them 9 batteries per drone, which is enough to basically fly non-stop all day long. But if you don't label your batteries, you won't know how many times you've used each battery. So you might use the same 3 batteries over and over and over again. Whereas if you label them 1 through 9, you know which one you've used last, you can keep track and you can keep cycling them through. DJI has also got tools where you can actually look up how many cycles a battery has got. And it's always good to try and keep the cycles even so that your batteries will cycle, will maintain the most capacity for the longest. When storing your batteries, there's a few things you don't want to do. The worst thing to do, especially with smart batteries, is to store your battery at 0%. If you store your battery at 0% and your battery is smart, it might still have a bit of drain on that battery from something called the battery management system. And as I said, if the battery is drained below empty, below 3 volts, you can do permanent damage. And I've got probably about 5 or 6 batteries in my office which were bought before COVID hit and shipped at very low levels of charge, I think 25% charge or so. And then they sat for a year and a half, and the management system slowly drained them to zero and then slowly drained them beyond zero. And because of that, I've got about 5 or 6 paperweights in my office, which cost about $240 a piece. And around the world, I think we have a few more of those. You also don't want to leave your battery fully charged. Now, in this case, DJI is quite clever. There's a setting on the drone which says if the battery is fully charged and hasn't been used for 10 days, drain it to a storage charge, which is very nice. But you are still losing some capacity because they're sitting at 10 days fully charged. Ideally, they say 65 to 75% capacity is great. I find a good rule of thumb with DJI is to have it on to 2 lights or 2 in a flash, or 3 lights is a very good amount of charge. One more thing we saw about all the drone fires, a good idea to keep an eye on your batteries when charging. A very bad idea would be to put them on your bed and to walk out while they're busy charging and attached to the cable. That would create a very big fire. Ideally, you would charge in a non-flammable setting. I used to have a fireplace in my house, and that was the perfect place for me to charge my battery. There was a plug relatively nearby, because if it burnt into flames, I'd get a nice warm house out of it, and I wouldn't have to call the fire brigade, which was great. But like I said, I've been very fortunate. I've never had a battery fire, but it is something to keep in mind. You also get things called LiPo bags, which is a flame-resistant bag, and you can put the battery inside that while it's charging. I think that'll be about everything. There's one more point. Please don't leave your batteries in the sun. It's a very easy thing to do, is to make sure you keep them in the shade. Put them under a tree, put them under a backpack, keep them somewhere where it is much cooler, and your batteries will be good to you. That's all. Thanks very much for listening, and let me know if you have any questions.